I'm back with another video, and today we're talking about the three biggest surprises of the NBA so far. And in this video, we're just going to be talking about the teams, not so much the players, but just the overall team performance and where they're at currently on January 18th. So let's hop into it. Now, the first team I got on my list has got to be the Memphis Grizzlies. Now, we all knew the Grizzlies were going to make a jump this year. It just really how big of a jump they're going to make. Well, currently they're the third seed in the Western Conference, and they just ended an 11-game winning streak. In Western Conference, winning 11 games, that's a very, very big feat. You got Golden State, you got Phoenix, Utah. The Lakers are hot and cold. The Clippers and Paul George is healthy. It's just a lot. It's just a heavy conference. Now, got to start with Ja Morant. Ja Morant's having an MVP caliber season, in my opinion. He's averaging 24, 6, and 7, along with Desmond Bane is having a breakout season, averaging 18 and being an absolute sniper from three. You got Dillon Brooks picking up where he left off last year. We all knew Dillon Brooks in the first round versus, I believe it was Utah last year, that he played a phenomenal series. Unfortunately, Memphis came up short. They were just too inexperienced and just not enough talent to keep up with that Utah team. And now moving forward, we have other players on this team contributing, like Jaren Jackson Jr., Brandon Clark, and Tyus Jones are all having great years for Memphis. Jaren Jackson Jr., I've been waiting on him for like 2 years now to make that big step. I think this year he's going to have a very solid year, and then next year is going to be his crazy step where he's an all-star contention. He just got the build, the game, and the overall mentality to be a great player in this league, and I think he will be that. And speaking about being, being great players in this league, Memphis has got a lot of young players who are great now, who's going to be even better in the future. You got Ja Morant in his third season. You got Dillon Brooks, who's young. Desmond Bane, who's young. Jaren Jackson Jr., who's young. Brandon Clark, who's young. I mean, their main core right now is still very young in terms of how well they're doing. You don't really see teams like this performing like they are and being as committed as they are to winning games. So the Grizzlies have to be my biggest standout of this season. Now, moving on, we got the Chicago Bulls and mainly DeMar DeRozan. Now, in the beginning of this video, I said I wasn't going to really be player-based, but I just got to give DeMar DeRozan the biggest shout-out because I remember last year I was talking to my roommate, and he was a big DeMar DeRozan fan, and I told him straight up, I said, look, DeMar DeRozan would be best suited to come off the bench for a contending team. And this year, is this boy proving me wrong? So many levels. Okay, let's get started. First of all, the Bulls are currently top in the East, the number one seed, and DeMar DeRozan is having arguably his best season of his career, averaging 26, 5, and 5, while shooting threes at a 35% clip. He's only shooting two of them a game, but that's all you really need to shoot for the defense, to be honest. And they're being honest with him because 35% is around league average, so you don't want to leave him open, which then spreads the floor for other players like Zach LaVine and for DeMar DeRozan to really drive in the paint, and do what they do best. They're working in the mid-range game and, around the hoop. And then I think DeMar DeRozan is the best player on this team. I mean, you see him hitting all the big shots, stepping up in the biggest moments. DeMar is definitely should be an MVP conversation for his year on the Bulls so far, and also how the Bulls are performing. I mean, the top seed in the East with Miami, you have Brooklyn, and then my next team I'm moving on to, you have the Cleveland Cavaliers. Now, this team may have been the biggest surprise, but they're not the best team on this list. If you know what I'm talking about, I think they're the third best team on this list. That's kind of why I have them as number 3. But we have the Cleveland Cavaliers. Now, if I told you at the beginning of the season that the Cleveland Cavaliers on January 18th, 2022 would have the same amount of wins as the Brooklyn Nets, y'all would laugh at it, for real. So they have the same amount of wins, and I think they're tied with third in the standings with Brooklyn. I think they're fourth because Brooklyn might have the edge on them, but they are tied for the third seed with the Brooklyn Nets. So let's get into it. So the Cavs have greatly improved their defense with the addition of Evan Mobley in the draft last year. He's a very, very good pro right now, and I'm looking forward to watching him in the future and how much he's going to grow. And also the emergence of Jared Allen. We all knew Jared Allen was going to be good. Not putting up very flashy numbers. I think he's putting up 16 and 10. but he's a very solid rim defender for this team, matched with Mobley. I mean, and plus you got Lauri Markkanen, who's damn near 7 feet, playing a small forward. So they have a very tall team that can play defense like none other. That's why they're so good, is their defense is just absolutely phenomenal. This year you have Kevin Love coming off the bench, kind of playing a veteran role to the young guys, and he's averaging 14 and 7. But I have a feeling that he's, what he's contributing to this basketball team is so much bigger than what his numbers are. But still, 14 and 7, being a great floor spacer, because Mobley and Allen, they're really not 3-point shooters. So if you want to have some floor spacing, you throw in Kevin Love and slide Lauri Markkanen down at the 4. Then you got some shooting right there. And then I have to mention Darius Garland, who's having an absolute breakout season, and who might get the nod for the All-Star conversation. If he doesn't get the nod, he's going to be one of the top guys on the snub list. He's averaging 19 and 8. I mean, he's playing really well. And I remember last season there was trade rumors about Colin Sexton, and I was kind of questioning that because I thought Colin Sexton's a pretty good player, and I thought you might want to keep Sexton over Garland. But I think this year has proven that you want to have Darius Garland in this team, and you might need to move away from Colin Sexton. Not to mention Ricky Rubio was having a career year for them. I mean, he was just balling out, putting up great numbers, great efficiency, but unfortunately he tore his ACL and is out for the year. So the Cavs went and got Rondo, who's I don't think is going to really fulfill that role Ricky Rubio had, but he's definitely going to be a pretty good player. He's only going to help Garland's growth throughout this season. And if Rondo sticks around, then he's going to be there for Sexton when he comes back, because Sexton also tore his meniscus in his knee or something. He did some damage to his knee, so he's out for the year. But this Cavs team is going to be scary. I mean, Garland's in his 3rd year, I believe. Mobley's in his 1st year. Allen's young. Markkanen, he found a new home in Cleveland. Isaac Okoro, who's a great defender, and just running guns on the floor. If he can develop a shot and really become a consistent offensive player, then this team's going to be a problem with that, with that core group of guys. So yeah, that pretty much wraps up the video. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one.